Hey guys, welcome to the Massive Iron Channel. Steve Shaw here. Live video. Let me pull it up on my computer so I can better monitor comments. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's surviving all the craziness and madness and all the nonsense that's going on, all the disruptiveness. Let me just pull this up here. If you guys have any questions, I will be on. As long as you guys have questions, let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'd love to hear from you. Love to hear where you guys are at, what you guys are up to, what you guys are doing while we are trying to get through this without, basically most of us without having any gyms. If you guys have any questions specifically regarding body weight work or training from home, at the end of this video, check the link down below. Over at my website, superlivingtoday.com, I put together a free PDF for those of you that need some home gym workout ideas. Before I get started, I have some coaching slots. Obviously, with what's going on, some people had to jump ship. So I've let some people go early on their contracts, and I have some coaching slots available. If you're interested, please message me on Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. Go over to superlivingtoday.com if you need some workout ideas. I got all kinds of stuff. All right, guys, post your questions up. Any questions? Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits. I want to say, before we get going, every live video, somebody complains that I'm skipping their questions. Understand that's not me, that's YouTube. So if it seems like I'm skipping your question, please continue to post it or go over to Instagram in my DMs at Ben the Barman and send me the question. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Dennis from Finland, how's it going in Finland? Let me know how you guys are dealing with all this coronavirus. If your gym's closed down, what you're doing in the meantime. Gladiator from Jersey. We have Love from Israel. The Netherlands, Aldner, greetings from other side of the world. E. Watson, hello from Scotland. You know, I'm in the right mind to just go back to Scotland right now and hide in a cabin. Paul, how's it going, Paul? Paul is an insider. You guys can join as an insider for only $1.99 a month. Click the join button. Damn, got to travel now. Might catch later. Hey, Paul, thanks for checking in. What's going on, Chad? Zeopsis says, hello from the UK. Gyms are still open. I'm shocked by that, but glad to hear it because I had to actually pause one gym membership and cancel another. Even though I got a home gym, we like to have a LA Fitness account for traveling and sometimes just getting out and doing other things and so on and so forth. We got JK from Philly. And let's see, we got our first question. I'll get to everything, so just be patient and thanks for tuning in. We got triceps at home. How can you do triceps at home? Well, your first and best options, if you don't have any equipment, diamond push-ups are a great option. You can get in a plank position, and you can do this, and you can actually do an extension like that. So you can do, basically, it's a tricep extension from the plank position. That's a really good option, but those are extremely difficult for the average individual. Basically, push-up variations are going to be your bread and butter. If you struggle with a diamond push-up, and you want to keep your elbows a little bit tucked, if you struggle with a diamond push-up, you might want to try them elevated with your feet down and your hands a little bit up on a bench or something like that. Beyond that, if you can get your hands on some bands, we have a band setup that we attach to a door, 4 bands. I can really get a rock solid workout and a fair amount of resistance. Let's see what else we got here. Ron de Bol 82 in Netherlands, all gyms are closed. Florin, hey man, I'm having lower back pain when barbell rowing. Any tips? I'd love to take a look at your video just to see if I can see anything glaring. You could send that to me on Instagram at Ben the Barman, slide in my DM. Generally, the rows can place a lot of stress on your lower back, barbell and dumbbell rows. And if you're experiencing pain, if it's sharp pain, something's going on. You need to stop doing them. If it is dull pain, then it's probably just from some sort of a strain. A lot of times we don't brace our lower back properly before we row, so it's something you really got to look at. I would take a video of that and send it to me so I can take a look and see if it's anything in the form. Let's see, Derek, tuning in from Montreal. Hope all is well in Montreal. Just finished an ab circuit, going for a run soon. Maybe I'll do another body weight circuit. Derek, I'm really glad you're staying up on things. It's really easy for us in these times to want to get lax, to just sit at home and get lazy and not stay active. But I just highly encourage you guys to continue to stay active, continue to fight, continue to do body weight stuff, continue to do whatever you can. Yeah, we don't have, most of us or many of us don't have barbells and dumbbells, but just keep moving, keep your body active. If anything, we have learned from this, it is that people that are with compromised immune systems are very much at risk for conditions like this. So, in the long run, as we age, and I'm over 50, it's very imperative that we keep our immune system healthy. So keep active. All right. E. Watson has a question mark, and I'm not, he goes on to say, home gym winner here. Yep, you're one of the lucky ones. I've had people actually asking me if they can use my home gym. And it's like, I try to be good and helpful, but I can't have people trampling in here at all times of the day. Florin, hello from Kosovo. Dan Khan, Singapore is back. Glad to hear that. Matt Gaines, hello from Ottawa. I've plenty of Canadian clients. Again, if any of you guys are interested in assistance, putting together some specials right now. So I'd love to have you guys as clients if you need help with weight loss or lifting or whatever. Even if you need a custom workout, please check out my website, superlivingtoday.com, or send me a question. Aldner, all gyms are closed here, so I'm following a 5-day dumbbell-only workout at home. Don't have as heavy dumbbells as I was using. How to adjust my program? There's many ways you can check out my PDF that I put out at my website, superlivingtoday.com. It's free. Go to the workout section. That has a workout with a limited amount of dumbbells. But if you don't have a lot of dumbbell weight, what you can do, your best friend is to do block training or rest pause training, where say in a 30, 60, 90, 120 second, 3-minute block, 5-minute block, do as many reps as you can of an exercise. It's kind of like a prolonged sprint. So you're getting more out of the weight that you have. You can do volume, you can do rest pause work. You can also pre-exhaust. Let's say you don't have a lot of weight and you're trying to do dumbbell bench. You can pre-exhaust with push-ups. So you can do a max rep set of push-ups, jump on the dumbbell bench, and just do as many as you can in like 2 minutes, like a block set. So get creative. Don't hesitate to do pre-exhaust with body weight stuff. And then don't hesitate to use rest pause work as well. Keep the questions coming, guys. I have nothing to do but talk to you guys today. So I would highly encourage you guys just to stay on, post your questions, and let's get everything figured out, because I know a lot of you guys are struggling right now. G-Star, my lower back gets a little sore after heavy squats and deadlifts and bent over rows. I guess this is common, but I feel a little pain in both the glutes during these motions. Tips. It's definitely common. I mean, even if somebody's form is pretty good, a lot of times what's going on is you have so many strong muscle groups involved in squats and deadlifts. You have quads, which are a strong muscle group, hamstrings, glutes, etc. The lower back might be the weakest in the chain, and it might have a little bit of stress. So what you really need to do is just make sure you're taking care of it. Make sure your form is nailed down. If you're experiencing, let's see, what did you mention about glutes? If you're experiencing pain in your glutes, like sharp pain, you might want to have somebody look at your form, because that's always the number one thing you want to rule out. I can do general, real quick cursory form checks. You can send me a video on Instagram, and I can say, hey, okay, you're doing this wrong. If you want an extended check, or for me to dive into the nuts and bolts, I have that service on my website. But if anybody that sends me a video on Instagram, I always look at it. So have somebody check it. If not me, somebody else. Ricky Salgado. I need to lift for my overall mental sanity. Should I break into my gym Kool-Aid man style to get a workout in? Should you break into your gym Kool-Aid man style? If you do get it on video, so you can be like an international sensation, I would maybe put a bunch of bubble wrap on and hand sanitizer over the bubble wrap and then break into the gym. No, man. Look, if you guys are struggling and struggling without a gym, check out my free PDF, superlivingtoday.com. I put it out the other day. You can check it out, the link below in my video. But trust me, the workouts I put together are not easy. They're not the only way to lift during this time, but it is a really good, some really good methods and should give you some really good ideas. Sebastian Rue, do you think low volume can get you far? Does it take longer or would it not work at all? Depends on what low volume means, and it also depends on if you're making every set count. If you're maximizing sets, according to something like my book, Massive Iron, then you can go with a little bit lower volume. Older trainees generally have to it's generally wiser to use a lower amount of volume. At the end of the day, will it slow you down? Well, if it's extreme low volume, it might slow you down. If it's just a pullback of 20 to 30% of volume, if you are training properly, you're probably going to add a pretty good amount of muscle mass. So I generally don't like to seek extremes. I like to stay somewhere in the middle. And the further you deviate from the middle, the more you're pushing your luck with results. Not that you won't get results, but that you're opening the door for them to slow. And lifting is hard enough. Building muscle and strength is hard enough when we're doing everything right. So just keep that in mind. And sometimes we just need periods where there's lower volume. So let's see, what do we got here? That was Sebastian. G-Star, my form is perfect. I recorded already and it was okay. G-Star, I got to tell you, and I'm not trying to sound disrespectful or like an ass, but everybody that tells me their form is perfect, when they come to me, I can find issues. I can absolutely find issues. So you really need to have somebody like me look at it and say, hey man, you got this going on, you got that going on. I can spot things just because of all my years of powerlifting coaching and all my years of helping people. I can spot common flaws that most people aren't aware of. So anybody that tells me their form is perfect, I got to tell you, your form is generally not perfect, and it can only benefit you to have somebody like me look at it, and I offer to look at it for free. So take me up on that. Duty Thief, Scott Herman. Oh no, we got a Scott Herman comment. Said in a recent video that you are jealous of his luscious abs. Is that true? Oh yes, I'm very jealous of his luscious abs. Look, anybody can get abs. Having abs isn't a condition of any major accomplishment other than you ate less food. I'm not jealous of anybody. What I really don't like about Scott Herman is that, if you go back in time in videos like where he's teaching the squat, he doesn't know what he's doing. He really doesn't. And that's a problem in this industry. Folks get out of their lane. They think they know how to do something and they don't. And there's always somebody that can point out, hey, Scott, you really don't know how to squat properly. And, Scott is just one example. People get butthurt when you correct them. They should be like, thank you. Thank you. Now I can better help the people that I am trying to assist. When somebody comes to me and points out a squat or deadlift tip that I've never heard about before, do you think I get butthurt? Do you think I go cry in my corner and say, well, I bet he's jealous that I have big, juicy traps? No, I listen to it because at the end of the day, it's not about us and our ego. It's about servicing you guys. So, Scott, silly creature. Dan Kahn, whenever I dumbbell row from a bench, oops, I think I lost it there. Let's see, where are we? Sorry, there's so many questions, I lost it for a second. Whenever I dumbbell row from a bench, I feel my obliques cramping up. Pretty normal. Am I doing something wrong? I feel like my body wants to twist. it does want to twist because you're getting some rotation in your torso. That's pretty normal. That's very, very normal. You put a lot of stress and strain on the obliques and the lower back and the core during dumbbell rows, and that's one of the benefits of doing them. Um, what I like to do, and that's one of the reasons why I like to set down my dumbbell after each rep, so I can release some of the pressure. If you're holding it constantly, you're constantly putting stress on your torso. So you might want to try setting the dumbbell down in between reps. And if that doesn't work, and if you're feeling anything that's really, really intense, maybe try 2-arm dumbbell rows on a bench. And you would have to use straps, so you're not dropping the weight or dealing with grip issues. But maybe try that where there's not as much twisting and see if you like that variation. Gary Thomas, what's going on, Gary? I met Gary a few years back. Today is supposed to be my back day. How do I train back without the gym? That's a very good question. In my free PDF, there is an exercise called the back lift. All right. So basically, you lie on the floor like this, and you're going to mimic a row by driving your elbows back. Okay. So you're lying on the back, you're lying on the floor like this on your back, and your elbows on the ground. You're gonna mimic a row like you're doing a seated cable row. So your torso is going to come off the ground when you do this, like this, right? And at first, it's going to feel awkward and unusual doing this body weight back exercise. But I guarantee if you can do this for 50 to 100 reps, it is going to feel like a legit rowing exercise. You can also get creative and do inverted rows. You might need something sturdier than a broomstick to put between two heavy chairs, because you're not a small little flower, Gary, and I don't mean that in an offensive way, but you can do inverted rows. If you can figure out a way to rig up inverted rows, that's great. You could also do pullovers. You could do like a superset of pullovers. So that's a good start. Gary says he also has 30-pound dumbbells and 3 sets of fat bells. The 30-pound dumbbells, it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. What I would probably do would be to do the back lifts, would be to find a way to do inverted rows in some way, somehow. And with the 30-pound dumbbells, I probably would do like about a million dumbbell rows. That's probably your best bet. And you have resistance bands as well. With resistance bands, you could probably double them up and rig them to something that's not going to move. And you could do band rows as well. You could even superset some of this stuff. So just keep that in mind. You just kind of got creative and use what you can for volume. Don't rule out the back lift though. Check that out in that PDF because that's surprisingly challenging. Florence says, thank you so much. I'm going to send the video when gyms are open again. By the way, the pain is disgusting. It makes me want to quit. Don't quit. Anytime you got a exercise that's causing you pain, just go to a different exercise variation. All right, guys, before I continue, I'm going to stay on as long as you guys have questions. I'll answer every question. If you guys need any coaching at all or exercise form assessment, body fat assessment, diet assessment, workout assessment, you want a custom workout, if you want some programs, I got programs over on my website. Anything. I appreciate anything. This is a hard time for all of us. And in my line of work, hey, I'm not going to lie. I've had to allow some clients to go out of their contracts because, not a lot of people have money. So if you guys need help and have a few extra dollars, I would love to be of assistance. Let's see. Is nucleus overload legit? I made a video about nucleus overload, but anybody that knows me knows that for a natural you have to focus. You have to major in the majors, not major in the minors. Over the long run, stuff like this isn't going to help you add any more muscle mass, and it's not really going to help you add any more muscle mass more quickly. Major in the majors. And if you don't know what that is, just binge watch every video I've ever made, and I'll beat that drum to death. Fabian, hi there, France here. Stay safe, you too, and hope you guys are doing well. France looks like it's in one of the areas with a lot of issues, so I hope everybody in your family as well. Ryking 73, since I don't have a leg press machine at home, would it be effective to back squat and front squat in the same workout? Yeah, why not? I would do the heavier movement first, the back squat, and then I would probably move on to the front squat for reps. You could also, one of the things I also advocate to my clients is you can do things like 100 rep rest pause sets of lunges. You can do 100 body weight pause body weight squats. You can do Bulgarian split squats. You can do supersets of like 100 reps. Do some volume stuff at home with lunges, body weight squats, step ups, and that sort of thing. If you do, say, a set of squats, you could then superset that with 50 reps of lunges or 40 reps of lunges, 20 each leg. And trust me, you're going to feel it. And then you go back for the next set of squats and you got some exhaustion going on. So you can definitely get creative, but don't afraid to get creative, when you don't have a lot of equipment. Let me get some water here. Let's see. Gladiator. Best dumbbell workout at home if my dumbbells max out at 55 pounds. Just covered this a little bit, but if your dumbbells are only 55 pounds, you can do block training, which I address in the free PDF. And please get that. Go download that at my website, superlivingtoday.com. You go and you look in the workout section, and there is a free home gym, and that explains how to do block sets. You can do block sets. And one of the best ways to maximize limited dumbbell weight is block training, rest pause training, or you can do pre-exhaust. So I gave the example before. Let's say you want to do dumbbell bench press with 55s. What I would suggest is dropping to the floor, doing a max set of push-ups, and then hopping over and doing a max set of dumbbell bench. Just listen to your body. This is a new technique. You don't want to get yourself injured. But pre-exhausting with a body weight type of exercise is a great idea. For dumbbell rows, you could do 2-arm dumbbell rows. But before you do that, you could hop on the floor and do the back lifts, which I just talked about. Do a max rep set of those and then hop over and do 2-arm dumbbell rows. So you can get very, very creative. But you can do dumbbell rows for block training, rest pause training, very beneficial. Naveed, Steve, hey, how exactly sew your macros? Are you asking for my macros, Naveed? Maybe you can clarify. Or how to set up your macros? Maybe you can clarify. Stian, lovely. Are you into the stock market these days? No, my ex-wife got all my 401k, so I've been watching it as an outsider. But as far as what I'm trying to do these days, what I'm trying to do as a small business owner is keep my small business strong and healthy. And so far, it's doing really good. But I'm just focusing on my lane right now and just trying to stay healthy and trying to run and trying to take care of myself. So, other than generally watching the stock market, no. I do know it's right back where it was when Trump came into office. So we've washed out everything. Adonis Paul, opinion on using incline dumbbell, flat dumbbell, and dips to grow a chest. One thing I'm always a fan of is using a well-rounded attack. Some people will be like, hey, is incline better than flat bench? Is flat bench better than dips? All that kind of good stuff. What I always suggest is use them all. There is some indication that inclines provide a slightly better benefit than flat bench. But look, over the long run, it's not really going to matter. But, in the short run, it's probably a good idea to use all variations. I did that for a very, very long time. I would start my workouts with barbell bench, and then I would move on to incline dumbbell bench. And then the next time I did chest, I would start my workout with incline bench, and then I would follow it with flat bench dumbbells. So I like to alternate exercises. I think that's a really good idea. And I think at the end of the day, that's pretty much your best plan of attack for everything. Let's see. Naveed, why do people say there are no other exercises to replace the squat, bench, and deadlift? Because there aren't. You know, there are other exercises you can do, but well, the bench. I mean, obviously there's bench variations you can do to replace them, but you know, the squat, the bench, and the deadlift are essentials. They're the best lifts for a reason. So you know, you can't replace an overhead press with a side lateral. When you have a lift, okay, a big compound movement, it has like the squat. If you start at a 95-pound squat, you have the ability to progress quite a ways, maybe up to 500 pounds. Okay. So there's a big open window of progression. If you move on down the chain to you know, like a leg extension, there's a smaller window. Plus, it's a machine. It's not placing a stress on your entire body. So, machines are good, are good muscle builders, but they don't function in the same way as a compound movement. Compound movements are fundamental for that reason. They involve your entire body to stabilize things. They have huge windows, huge progression opportunities. They're invaluable for those reasons. So they can't be replaced. That doesn't mean you couldn't build muscle without them, but the question would be, why would you try to build muscle without them? Anybody that's trying to build muscle without them, unless they have an injury, they're trying to find a shortcut, and that is a mental cancer. Trying to find a shortcut in muscle building is a sign of weakness. And if somebody is trying to find a shortcut around using compound movements, they're likely going to be unsuccessful building muscle or strength at all, because the very act of looking for a shortcut is a sign that you are trying to find an easy way to do something. And in life, the only way to be successful is to go through the mountain, not, you know, over the mountain, climb the mountain, not try to find a, you know, a little go-kart to scoot around the mountain. All right. What do we have here? G-Star. I'm doing more glute bridges and glute pull-throughs. The pain is not sharp, but it's more of a soreness. Soreness is fine. That's usually just a sign of weakness. So if you don't have sharp pain, you're good to go. Soreness, on the other hand, you know, that just might mean that your glutes are a little bit weak compared to the rest of your body. Pressure stick. Is full body a solid choice for the first 3 to 4 months of training? Absolutely. It's probably the best place for most people to start. You know, you don't want to go in and beat up one muscle group generally. It certainly can be done, but full body is probably the best way. The weight you're using is lighter. You're not going to have to change 8 million plates on compound movement. So it's a good place to start for most people. Let's see. But, you know, if you want to start on an upper lower AB type of split that I advocate, that's fine as well. That's absolutely fine. I probably wouldn't dive into a bro split at all until you have a little bit more experience. Let's see. What do we have next? Keep the questions coming, guys. Let's see. Matt Gaines, thanks for the free workouts. Trying them tonight after the gym. Good luck, Matt. Let me know what you think. Joe H, I need a body weight workout for the next month or longer. I have a free body weight. I have a free PDF with 4 workouts on my website, Super Living a Day. My last video was about this, and you can find the download free in the description box to that video. Let's see, what do we got here? Hold on here. I got a message that was filtered from G-Star. It says, I'll be happy if you look at my form. Absolutely. Please do send it over. I'm not sure why Instagram filtered that. So let me get back to the question here, because that just threw me off. Where are we? Okay. That random person on YouTube, my gym's still open. You are one lucky sucker. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad there's a few gyms still open. Philo 68, Corona is one of my favorite beers. Cheers, everyone. Cheers. I wish I could drink a beer right now, but I got to go out and run for 2 hours. So, let's see. Stian Lovely, what's your opinion about Elliott Hulse? Good question. Back in the day when I got into this industry a long time ago, Elliott Hulse was basically a no-name. He had been working, I believe, with a website called Critical Bench. and I believe they're in the same area. Critical Bench was kind of helping Elliot and with programs and things, and they had some ebooks and stuff like that. Elliot rapidly gained popularity. He was a strong individual, and now he's chosen to take his YouTube channel in some strange ways. I really have never paid a lot of attention to Elliot House, mostly because I've always been working, and there's very few YouTubers I generally follow. I try to stay in my lane. The only YouTubers I follow are Alan Roberts. Let's see. James Tinyvest, because James is real and legit. I'll check in on other people occasionally just to see what kind of chaos they're up to. Like earlier today, check in to see what kind of nonsense Kenny KO is up to. I'll check to see what kind of nonsense Jerry Ward is up to. What kind of, there's some guys out there just characters, always putting their foot in their mouth. Basketball is not cardio. I'll check in occasionally just to see. V Shred put out a new video, or Vince Dumont put out a new video, sometimes just for comedy. But Elliot, I don't really follow much. Where are we? All right. Aldner. Thanks for the tips. Got your PDF, and I like the idea of a block protocol. Let me know what you think, and I hope gyms open quickly so we can all return back to normal life. Johan Trifonov, how do you feel about high reps, low weight isolation training during the quarantine? As long as it's taken to failure. Don't generically take anything to failure. There's no need to train to failure. What is a better idea? Obviously, you can do volume training during this time. That's okay. I'm completely cool with that. But what I really like, if you want to take the volume training up a notch, incorporate rest pause training, incorporate block sets, pre-exhaust, things like that. Because if you incorporate, like, if you're just doing 3 to 12 or 3 to 15 or 3 to 20, if you can do a block set for 2 minutes with like dumbbell bench, you're going to feel toast. And this will be a really good way to hold you over for God knows how long we're going to be in this mess, maybe up to 3 months, hopefully not, maybe just a month. But I don't have faith with the way everything's going right now. I'm thinking 2 to 3 months. You guys can let me know what you think. Joe H says, I predict Florida will be hit hard by an influx of coronas. Florida is full of elderly, right? So I don't see why it wouldn't. The information we see, and I'm no expert, but on the coronavirus, is it tends to hit folks 60s, 70s, 80s with pre-existing conditions, pre-existing diseases and things like that. That's generally the statistics, not all cases, but a heavy amount of them. And Florida is filled with seniors. So I would suspect Florida would be a hotbed for things. All right. Respect from India. Hello, India. I have quite a few clients from India. I hope everything is well with you. Carlo Ferreira, can anyone see my comment? I can see this comment. G-Star, I sent both the video of my squat and bench row to your DM. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy to take a look at that. And I will probably tonight after I am done with my run. Keep the questions coming, guys. We're 33 minutes in. I will stay on as long as you have questions. Again, if you need coaching or any programs or any assessments or anything like that, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. If you are struggling with cash right now, just ask. I'll give you a discount because, we're all in this boat together, and I'll do whatever I can to help. Let's see. Denhart, big fan of your amazing content. Thank you so much. Keep up the great work. A weird question, but in your opinion, how strong does one have to get to actually look like he lifts? Very good question. And for an intermediate that has, let's say you're benching 225 for whatever, you're deadlifting 400, you're squatting 315, which I would consider intermediate. If you're in that range, you've added some muscle, but for you to look like you have to lift, generally you need to lose some body fat. You need to lose a lot of body fat because that muscle will really be able to shine. A lot of times the muscle is hidden, because we are heavier than we really should be. or we're too heavy to actually show it. Guys like me, guys like Alan Roberts, guys like the guy, that have a lot of muscle mass, that look like they lift without being super low body fat. These guys are incredibly strong, incredibly strong. So you got two boats. You can be averagely strong, intermediate, and get super lean, or get a lot leaner than you are now, or you can get like super freaking strong. And that's really about it. That's really about it. The guys I know that look like they lift, and don't have super low body fat percentages, say they're in between 15 to 20% or whatever, they are superhuman strong. Like guys like Alan Roberts, he's one of the few guys that could come into the gym and we could squat over 500 pounds together. He's one of the few guys that could come into the gym and we could toss around hundreds on dumbbell overhead presses. That's the level. That's a ridiculous amount of strength it takes to really look like you lift without getting super lean. So I hope that helps some. Florin, is upper lower enough volume for hypertrophy? Absolutely. Absolutely. I put out many A-B splits for my clients. You can work them 3-4 times a week. You're working out 3-4 times a week just like you would in a body part split. So you're just slicing and dicing the volume differently than you would in a bro split, but the same weekly volume. Let's see. Brandon Wall. Do you think doing a push-pull legs upper lower split on a 2-day on 1-day off scheme, for example, push pull off, legs upper off, lower push off, would that be okay? Yeah, man. I mean, anything like that's going to be okay as long as it's structured properly. What do I mean by structured properly? If you're doing biceps the day before deadlifts, I don't like it, just because I don't want you deadlifting with bicep fatigue. So there's little bits and pieces of programming that I will look at, check under the hood. But as long as all those bits and pieces are in place, you are absolutely good to go. Pop at the door, head position on deadlift. I see debated between neutral and tilted up. I've been having neck pain either way. Well, I can't address the neck pain. I would be happy to look at your deadlift form. One thing with your head, where the head goes, the body follows. So I basically start in a neutral position and then I teach drive up. Instead of pulling on the bar, you're driving up, but it's like a concerted effort. Everything is working in unison. Your head's not going like that before your torso. So there is some discipline involved in there. But if you are experiencing neck issues, make sure you're not turning your head during a deadlift rep. Make sure you're not starting with it down here. Make sure you're not starting with it way back like that. But send your video to me if you can. I'd at least like to take a look at it to see if there's any issues going on. Neck pain during a deadlift is not a normal thing, generally. Florin, on my upper, there are 10 sets per week on chest, 14 back, 10 shoulders, 6 biceps, 6 triceps. That looks plenty. That looks good. I like that you have more back work than pressing work. That's really well thought out. So you get the thumbs up from the big, hairy, ugly dude. Stan, hi from Norway. How's it going, Norway? Where'd you go? There you are. I've got lower back pain and also issues with knees. What's your thoughts on Zercher squat to a box? I don't like regular squats. Without knowing your condition, you are an adult. You can assess what exercises you like. Zercher squats, if you can tolerate the pain in the old elbows and the crook of your forearms, that's fine. I have no issues with that. One thing I would suggest is doing a more well-rounded program for your quads, with whatever you have. I'm not sure where you work out. In a gym, leg presses and hack squats. Outside of a gym, Bulgarian split squats, lunges, pause bodyweight squats, etc. Joshua ND, hey, what's up? Just got off online class. Hope you're having a good week, man. I hope your classes aren't too stressful. I hope those of you taking online classes, I hope it's actually easier for you. I took an online class way back in the day, and it was harder than being in class because the teacher could just dump a shit ton of work on you, and it got a little bit hairy. Most slept on one. Big hairy ugly dude. I just started running outside of the gym. When I run, all the muscles inside my legs and around my core are super sore, and I'm stiff. Do I just wait it out to get better and keep going? Well, the first thing I'm going to tell anybody that runs is get off pavement or concrete. Um, get off the sidewalks. Get off the pavement. Find a trail. It's going to seem counterintuitive, but if that stuff, pavement running will beat your body up. Any experienced runner will generally tell you the same thing. So get on a trail if you can. Find a natural surface. One thing about running, though, is, you know, let the speed come to you. Don't force speed. Run at a conversational pace. We could run, and like when I run, I'm able to talk, hold a conversation with my wife. Don't push speed. Don't push distance. Let them come to you. Is soreness normal? I'm sore after every 2 hour run. Every 2 hour run, and without fail. Try to sack. How about using a weighted vest for push-ups, dips, and chin-ups? Absolutely. You can use a weighted vest. You can use a backpack. Most of us have some form of a backpack we can strap on. You can put whatever you want in the backpack. You can put books or cans or, small infants, pets, whatever you have around. Just being facetious. It's just a joke, folks. But yeah, absolutely. You can absolutely use stuff like that as just load slowly, load slowly. I really dislike seeing folks start out on dips one day when they haven't done a dip in a long time. And then all of a sudden they're adding like 50 pounds onto the dip. Just progress slowly and let your body adjust to it. Follow 6-8. How much did you increase your fluid intake once you started running? Well, it's noticeably increased. Let's put it that way. Generally, when I'm done running, I have to drink at least 2 bottles of water just to kind of return to normal. So when I'm running during the summer or the hotter months, it's a dramatic increase. And it's very easy if I don't focus on it to wake up the next day and be pissing bright yellow. Sorry for the honesty. Justin Brock, I'm making gains only by hard work. Thanks for your advice. Hard work is king. Just keep it up, Justin. Keep the questions coming, guys. Whatever you want, off topic, whatever. I am here to help. Joshua, the Bay Area is on lockdown. I heard that, and I'm so sorry you have to go through that. Apparently, running should be fine, but people are getting fined. You know what? That's my biggest fear. If somebody says, "Hey, you can't go out into the woods," right? That's my biggest fear. Like I go in there 4 or 5 times a week. I don't want anybody to tell me I can't go into the woods because there's nobody out there, right? So yeah, it's a real pain in the ass, but just hang in there. Most slept on one. Hayes, big hairy dude. I've been running out. Oh, wait, I read that already. Outside, on the inside of my legs and core. So I keep going running and sprint. So I just answered that. How do you define failure? Muscular, technical. Failure is when you are unable to, muscular or from a technical standpoint, complete a movement, complete a complete rep. For some lifts, it's technical, and for some, it's muscular failure. It can depend. It can be a combination of both. But what you don't want to do in either case is train to failure because there's no added value. All it does is increase the risk. The deeper into a set you go, the more muscle fibers you recruit, and that has value. But there's no value in training to the point where a set is breaking down. No point at all. So I teach this religiously, but every exercise is different. Some exercises you can train to failure with no problem at all, and some exercises you can't, like barbell rows. When we get to the point where we start to fail, it's usually not a muscular, or it's usually, we start to want to use more momentum. It doesn't place a lot of stress on the body. So that's one of the lifts that doesn't tax you training to failure, and you could possibly train to failure without it, compromising anything. But then again, why are you going to try to do, you know, reps when you're getting no value out of them? Let's see. E. Watson, similarly strength stalls. Not sure. Thanks for following the channel. I'm not sure what you're asking, so maybe you could clarify. Paul, the stores are sold out of gym equipment. Can you recommend something I can use at home? Check out my free PDF. What you can do is, if you can find some empty gallon milk jugs, you fill those up with water. They're 8.6 pounds. If you fill them up with maybe dirt or sand, they're going to weigh a lot more. So you could use those. Worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, you can get a backpack and you can load it up. You could do single arm backpack presses, right? If you can find two of them, you could use those as almost dumbbells in a sense, right? So those are two options. We really have to get creative. If you got those big jugs of cat litter, or somebody that has cats and they have those big plastic jugs and those handles with cat litter, you fill those up with water, or you fill those up with, even if you can get them with cat sand in there, those suckers are heavy. They can provide some resistance. You could work with those. So many ways to conquer this. Head over to my group on Facebook, Massive Iron, or join my private forum. You can join my private forum through superlivingtoday.com. There's a lot of really good ideas. Casper, how important is mobility training to you and for people in general? Well, how important is it? If you're young and obese, generally you lack mobility from weight-related issues. If you're older, then mobility becomes a greater issue, because the body's just not capable of doing what it used to do for a myriad of reasons. Abuse, many years of abuse or use or overuse, etc. So as we age, there can be some value in it. I rarely find somebody that can't squat to depth or can't bench properly or can't deadlift properly because they lack mobility. It does occur. For example, my wife cannot squat properly, but it's more a factor of her bone, her limb lengths. My wife is an extreme exception, because I rarely run into somebody that can't squat properly, but I couldn't teach her to squat to save my life. And it sounds hilarious, but it's true. I have to have her box squat. Joshua, if I remember, you have to be less than 10% body fat to look lean for a typical gym goer. Pretty much, yeah. I mean, just think of Athlete X. I mean, he's an extreme case, but if he gained some weight, he would still look good, right? You could still see his definition. He'd still look really good and fit. To look fit, you pretty much have to get relatively lean. Paul DeVito, is one day of cardio enough, or should I do more? More. Generally, for the average individual, 3 times a week for 15, 20 minutes at a crack, getting your heart rate elevated is a good goal. Cardio we should do for our general health. So I would definitely do more than one day of cardio just for general health. Geo, Power 50. As a 50-year-old powerlifter, intermediate is a session of deadlifts, 3 sets, deficit deads, 3 sets, front squats, 3 sets, and some back work. Is that too much? If you can handle it, no. I don't like having 2 deadlift variations in the same workout. I'll be honest with you. What I would rather see you do is do deadlifts one week and then the next week do deficit deadlifts. So I'd rather see you alternate between deadlifts. I think there's more value in that, and it would give you a week for your lower back to kind of recover. I would, instead of having you do 3 big compound movements, I would have you do deadlifts and front squats and then a couple other exercises like your back work, and then the next week do deficits and then front squats and then back work. I would rather see you do it like that. If I was coaching you, that's probably what I would suggest. I got a question. You're really strong and use heavy weights. Have used them for a while. Do you hurt knee joints and such? I think everybody picks up some battle scars over time. it's almost impossible to do something physical for 36 years and not have some issues. With that said, physically where I'm at, I don't have anything that limits me. I mean, I can go out and run 2 hours 5 times a week as a bigger unit, and I feel fine. I've always listened to my body. I've only given, I only take what it gives on a daily basis. Um, I've only had one major injury in the gym, so excuse me, I never trained for punishment. Always train for progress and safe progress. And you got to learn to pull back sometimes. Everybody nowadays is so obsessed with one rep maxes. That's one of the biggest cancers you can do. One rep maxes and pushing yourself to failure. You build strength with reps and volume, and you can allow your strength to shine occasionally. Test it with lower rep stuff, but the people doing this stuff all the time, they're just going to beat the living hell out of their body. Joshua, running frequency really depends on how much you've ran beforehand. Running frequency, well, I mean, yeah, you got to build up to it. Obviously, I would never recommend somebody to run 5 to 6 times a week right out of the gate. There has to be a build up period. Absolutely. Brett Wild, thinking about trail running, should I start at 20 minutes a day, or is that not enough? Props from Wyoming. Yeah, 20 minutes is fine. What I really strongly suggest is, walk when you need to walk, run when you need to run, but just do 20 minutes. One thing we never do, and most trail runners never do, is run uphill. It can be extremely challenging. So I would say, don't just think you have to stick to running. Walk when you need to, but just let the speed come to you. 20 minutes a day, I would definitely start at 20 minutes a day, and I would not go below that. But I wouldn't pressure yourself. Listen to what your body's telling you on a given day, and just do what you can. Paul DeVito, have you heard of the band Suicidal Angels? No, I have not. TJ is a Massive Iron insider. Thoughts on 531? 531 has evolved over the years, and in its original state, I was not a big fan of deloading every fourth week. I always thought that was rather foolish, and I haven't followed along the program in forever, so I don't know what its current iteration is. But cycling, cycling intensity, that's fine. I mean, really, a program like that comes down to how you structure it, because all it really is a structure like that. 531. It really comes down to how you structure it and piece it together. To some degree, it's a little bit of overthinking, and the average intermediate isn't going to get any more value out of it in the long run than just doing volume training and training for progression on. If you just have a progression approach on every set for every workout, 531 is not going to be more effective generally than that. And I don't care what anybody says. It's just another program, another way to train. If you like it, use it. Florin, I have a goal to hit 100 push-ups on these quarantine days just to challenge myself. Do you think that'll increase my bench? Not in the short run, no. I mean, chest strength is a good thing, but I have always done push-ups maybe for the last 10 years on my bench days. I like doing some chest work that is body weight, dips, push-ups, that sort of thing. When you build up your chest size, it always increases the potential for more strength. So in that sense, it can increase the potential for more strength on your bench press, if that makes sense. Marco, electric pulse massagers versus electric muscle stimulators. The answer is dumbbells and barbells. Eric WW, I've lifted for 10 years but can't make progress on my deadlift, squat, bent over row, bench press. Eric, the first thing I do when somebody tells me they can't make progress is I want to look at where you were at 6 months ago and where you are at now. Where you were at 3 months ago, where you are at now. Here's the thing. if you deadlift 495 for three, and then you move up to 495 for five, that can seem like no progress at all. But if you check those numbers in a one rep max calculator, you'll find your max went up 20 to 30 pounds. So the stronger you get, the more those small rep increases really matter, and they are adding up. So if anybody hasn't made any rep gains in 6 months, I would have to look at programming. But really, what you got to do is take an honest look. Am I adding reps on these lifts, or am I just frustrated because progress has slowed? And that's something I would have to look under the hood to find the answer for. Is your cap for sale? I've always been thinking about that. This cap, you can get this on Amazon. So this is for sale on Amazon. And if you're interested in where I got it, just send me a DM. I'll send you the link. Paul, can't get meat or eggs in the shops, and I feel your pain. Yesterday we went to Kroger, and it was like the lottery. There was a thing of 30 eggs there, and I grabbed it. It was like a miracle. And they had some meat, but it was big cuts of beef, and I didn't really want to pay $20 for a steak. I was rather just trying to find some bulk meat. Going to have to access to grains and potatoes for the next few weeks while things are up in the air. Will my lifting effort be hindered? No. Get your calories in. Rely on any protein source you can. Hunt down those beans if you can. Get some protein powder if you can. Your efforts aren't going to be hindered as long as you're getting your calories in. Stian, wrist pain during bench press. I've been trying different grip widths and other things as well. Tips. Can I send you a video for coaching? You can send me a video, and I can look for any major issues. You can send a video on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you want a complete assessment, you can go to my website, superlivingtoday.com, and I can comb through everything. But yeah, I can usually, it depends on the angle. I like an angle where I can see you from the front and I can see you from the side, if that is possible. Tom, big, hairy, ugly dude, wondering about getting the feeling of growth. When every day you feel recovered and strong, should I just push harder since the drive is there? Let me read that again. Wondering about getting the feeling of growth. When every day you feel recovered and strong, should I push harder? Push harder, I guess it depends on what your definition of push harder is. I don't like to arbitrarily add in more volume generally on movements, but you can add in a set if you're doing machine chest presses or bench and you want to do another set. Absolutely, just listen to your body, that sort of thing. As long as you have a decent progression approach and you're attacking the majority of your stuff the way you should be attacking it. If you want to add in an extra set here or there, add in a finish or whatever you can, just listen to your body. Have you heard about the Norwegian band from the 80s, Stage Dolls? Never heard of them, but I'm old enough where I know a lot of 80s bands. So no, I have not heard of them. Joseph Rodriguez, just bought some TRX. They are going quick. Walmart out, Amazon has few choices. Yeah, I've been recommending, people have been asking me for band recommendations, what I have for bands and what I have for a TRX unit at home. And I was looking for a client today, and they are difficult to find. So they're out there. Just keep looking. They're out there. Let's see. Annie. Oh my, I didn't send the question. I was still writing. Never mind, I'm still here. Watch with bad reception. I didn't see any questions, so if you have one, just keep it up. I'll stay on as long as I have questions. Joshua, is it weird that I have my vertical pulls? For those curious, a vertical pull is like this, and this is a horizontal pull. Is it weird that I have my vertical pulls with horizontal pulls? No, absolutely not. Quads and vertical presses on the following day, and deadlifts and horizontal pulls the day after. No, absolutely not. As long as your weekly volume's in place and you don't have anything crazy going on like extreme tricep fatigue the day before, benches, that sort of thing, you're absolutely fine. Let's see. Marcos, don't you think massages don't improve recovery? Why not electric pulse massagers? I yeah, you can use an electric pulse massager. I thought for muscle stimulators, I thought you were talking about something you connect to your muscles to get to get growth because there's been weird devices. Honestly, Marcos, I wasn't trying to be dismissive. I don't know anything about that world. Anything that helps you with recovery that you find value in, absolutely go for it. For me, I prefer hot baths and just sleep, but whatever works for you is good. Let's see, what do we got here? Joshua, your body should recover just fine. Try foam rollers. Pop at the door. I have a big torso, but small arms. Would it make sense to incorporate an arm day? I'm more of the high frequency type of guy, so it's a hard decision. The first thing I would look at is programming. What exercises are you using for arms? Are they a good selection? Do they offer some opportunities for progressive overload? That's where I would start. If you're struggling, what's your height? What's your weight? What's your strength on your lifts? I would look at the basics. It's hard for me just to say add an arm day. I would have to look at some of the basics just to figure out. Kid Bengala, weight gainer versus whey protein. Depends on what your needs are. I have some clients that are struggling right now that need over 4,000 calories to maintain weight. And in this day and age, dealing with the coronavirus, sometimes it's harder to find bulk calorie food items. So, if you need calories, do what you have to do to get calories in. At the end of the day, a weight gainer can have a benefit if you're struggling to get calories in. So it really depends on individual needs. Joshua, slow twitch muscles can be stimulated by volume and cardio. They're based on endurance and oxygen intake. David, best way to use concurrent periodization. There is really no best way to do anything. Really, it depends on where everything is modeled after the individual, where they're at and what their strengths and weaknesses are and where their lifts are at. So it's really hard to say without looking at an individual case. And where somebody's at. A lot of people will be, I will say this, a lot of people are looking for periodization models that might increase strength and they might not even need them. So I would have to look at the individual before I would be able to spit anything like that out. Florin, can sitting too much be a reason for low back pain? Absolutely. Sitting is like the new smoking. I've done an article, edited an article like this over at Tiger Fitness at one point in time. Sitting is awful for the human body. Awful, awful, awful. So any exercises to relieve the pain because I'm sitting every day at my computer. You could do some general strengthening work, some stretching. Getting up and moving is good. Move as much as you can, even if it's for 5 minutes, an hour. That would be helpful. Woodulus, Massive Iron Insider. Any resistance bands? My resistance bands arrived today. Any tips for a band workout? Are they the door kind where you attach to a door, or are they something that you have to put under your feet, like a band without a strap? If they're the door kind, man, you can do tricep extensions. You can put them at the bottom of the door. You can do a lot of curls. You can do flies. I do cable crossovers or flies. You can do concentration curls. So many good things you can do with bands if they're the door kind. You're an insider. Feel free to send me that question. Show me what you have, and maybe I can see make some recommendations. Excuse me, but I assume they're the door kind. Let's see. One thing you can do, and I mentioned this earlier, is use them in some way, shape, or form as incorporate some form of like pre-exhaust. So you could do like push-ups for max rep sets and then do band flies for max rep sets or a block set. Or you could do band flies, for a max rep or a block set and then drop down to a max rep set of push-ups. So a lot of things you can do like that in combination where you can really hammer that cumulative fatigue. But let me know what kind of bands you have. Any exercises for lower body that you'd recommend if you can't put a lot of pressure on your foot? Have pain in the foot arch. Slow movements don't give me pain. Well, the first thing I would ask is if you've been to a doctor, because that's unusual. If you can't put any pressure on your arch, you're very, very limited in what you can do, beyond a leg extension. There's not a lot of exercises you could do. You could possibly do a leg press where you're putting more of the emphasis on your heel rather than your whole foot. But that would probably be my only suggestion. Like this, like that. When I come out of my squat, I'm strong, but 3/4 of the way up, I shift my weight onto my right leg. Is that an imbalance? Something's unusual there. Probably a strength imbalance. It could also be some of us have one limb longer than the other. It's difficult to say. I would like to see a video though. So if you have a video, send it to me on Instagram. Let's see. Paul DeVito, is close grip lat pull downs more beneficial than wide grip lat pull downs? I don't like questions like that. Not that your question isn't a good question, but like beneficial is getting stronger on the basics. So don't overthink this stuff. What I always tell people, and I will continue to tell people, is if you like two exercise variations, use them both. Do one week and one the other week. See what you like. Try to get stronger at both and see how they feel to you, and then weed out the exercises you don't like. All right, guys, I'm going to continue to rock. I'm on my last question. If you have any questions right now, post them up, or I'm jumping shit. Okay, post them up right now. Again, if you need anything at all, head over to my website, superlivingtoday.com. And reminder, I have a free PDF over there if you need some home workouts. All right, Paul, ever tried cross-country mountain biking as an alternative to trail running? I have not, and perhaps sometime in the future, when the zombie apocalypse ends and I've had my fair share of trail running, which, after you run for a year, 10 hours a week, you get a little bit tired of it. We might give it a try. Paul goes on to say, lower body growing way faster than upper body, doing your massive iron beginner program. It's my structure, but I look disappropriate. Reduce lower body volume. It depends on what you want to look like, Paul. I mean, at some point, the lower body, that's a good problem to have. I'll say that. But, it depends on, like, if your legs get to a degree where you're, like, completely satisfied with their size, then you want to enter, like, maintenance mode. If you get to when your legs are, like, 25 inches, they're looking pretty good. You could scratch for 26 if you want. But if you can grow your lower body, you're likely able to grow your upper body as well. There are some rare cases where some folks struggle more with that. But it all depends on what you look like and where you're at and what your end goals are. I would always consider your end goals. If your legs are at 23, 24 inches, but you'd like to get them up, then keep going. Stan, have you ever been talking with Tom Purvis? No idea who Tom Purvis is. Let's see. What's your opinion on kettlebell swings? They're good exercise. I mean, they're not an exercise that particularly excites me. If I'm going to do some form of a kettlebell movement, I would rather see people try a Turkish get up. But it really depends on what your goals are. And what you're using it for, if it has a purpose in your training. If you're just doing it for cardio, I wouldn't add the lower back stress in. I would maybe try Turkish get up. I think those are far more challenging. Let's see. Tom Purvis, do you know him? No idea who he is. Joshua, dude, rip alpha in TWD. What does TWD mean? I'm too old to know half this stuff. Let me just search that. You guys can laugh at me because I have no idea what TWD means. Whoop, I put in the wrong thing here. What does TWD mean, folks? Oh, The Walking Dead. What? Rip alpha in The Walking Dead. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, is mind-muscle connection giving you better gains and not focusing on it? No, it's not. I don't care what anybody says. If you find value in focusing on your muscles, great, but it's not going to help you. Progressive overload will help you. Um, the basics will help you. You know, I don't like if somebody wants to do the mind muscle connection and focus on muscle groups. The main issue I have with it is when you're doing a compound movement, it tends to turn a compound movement into an isolation movement. If you're just trying to do the bench press and you're focused just on your chest, you're trying to turn a compound movement into an isolation exercise. It's a compound movement, right? If you're going to do mind muscle connection stuff, do it on isolation exercises. But one thing I don't like about it is that bodybuilders that trying to turn compound movements into isolation exercises. I think it's utterly ridiculous. Let's see. Most slept on one haze. Love the chat. Thanks for joining me. I might do this a little bit more often while we're trapped indoors, so stay tuned. Pear, been hearing a lot about people talking about farmers walks lately. Do you program that one? Occasionally I do. Some of my clients really like farmers walks. Excuse me. And they can be good for traps, for time under tension, for your yoke, that sort of thing. So if you like to do them, do them. Absolutely. If one of my clients likes to do them, I'll absolutely program them in. It's not an essential, but you know. Do you watch The Walking Dead? I watched the first season, got halfway through the second season. I thought it was boring as heck. People just wandering around, not knowing what they're doing. I never got past the second season. So, David, 100 kilogram bench, 140 squat, 190 deadlift, 60 overhead press. My bench stops in the middle, my squat 2, and my deadlift is harder on the ground. The overhead press is the same. Okay, so your bench stops at the middle. Wherever a lift stops, it's usually several inches before that where your sticking point is. The squat too. On the squat, focus on driving your hips forward to lock out. Think about head up, hips forward on the squat. The deadlift, harder at the ground. Get your quads strong, get your back strong. I hope that helps a little bit. Florin, people look at me weird in the gym if I do farmers walks. Well, do more of them. Make them uncomfortable. That's what I say. Joshua, speaking of farmers walks, did you watch the Arnold Classics? No. That's just a mess. It was just a whole mess. That week I had so many friends trying to come in that I just lost track of everything that was going on. All right, guys, I'm headed off. I appreciate your support. I might do another live video in a couple days. Please watch for that. Head over to Instagram. Follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you need any services or coaching, please hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, and I will be glad to help out. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.